Hi, this is Shay Belcher. I had a question the other day about using macros in the ATEM Mini Pro software. So I wanted to go through that a little bit and kind of how I've been utilizing that. As an audio engineer background, I sometimes get lost in a lot of the video terminology and the way that we're just the way that everything has to be laid out in video. It's just different than audio. So for me, creating a big long macro is kind of difficult. I get lost in it and then I make a mistake and then I gotta scrap the whole thing, and I don't like that. So I've been using the XML files, and what I actually do is create multiple small macros, and then I can put them together into one macro when I'm all done, once I like every step of the way. That seems to be helpful for me. You can also do some edits within the XML file if you have a pause and it's too short or too long, or you need to add a pause or whatever. And I'll kind of show you a little bit about that here as we go along. So let me show you this, the software here. And there we are. And I'm recording right now. Hey. So if we pull up the macros here, I'm going to show you what we've got. I've created 3 macros. Macro 1, its only job is to select camera 2, and then it goes over to our palette, to our upstream key, and selects camera 1, which is my camera. So say I've got my Chromecast on, got a macro 1, run it, and then it just selects that and it goes to camera 2, which is right now my laptop, which is showing you the software. Macro 2, that is, all that does is, I was playing with this a second ago, so never mind that. Haha. Macro 2, all it should be doing is it selects the circle here, and then it types in all these values. I find it helpful just to type them all in once you've got it set where you want it. And that's it. Then I go to macro 3, and what it should do is I keep these values and I hit set B, and then I went down and hit run to infinite. And when you do that, you get all new numbers here. So you type in those numbers and hit set A, and then run to A, go on air, and then run to B. And it should look something a little like this, in theory. In theory. Okay, what did I mess up here? Macro 2 should not be on air. Why is macro 2? Okay. See? All right, macro 3, boom. All right, so if you notice, there's a blip there. That's what I wanted to point out. I don't know what I did there. Okay, see, it goes full screen, and then it comes down. So what you're seeing is everything that I did is kind of happening at once, and it's actually going on air before we run to infinite. So we've got an issue there. How can we solve that? Okay, so what I would do is create a new macro. We'll call it we'll call it pause, because we're going to add a pause. And then you hit record, and I'm just going to add a pause for 30 frames. Add pause. And that's it. So now we're going to we are going to save as. I'm going to call it ATEM Macro Test. Save it to my desktop for now. I'm going to select nothing and then come back and select the macros and then save. Okay, so let's take a look at the XML file that we just created. If we open up here and we go to the test, I'm going to open with text edit. That's the best thing I have. I know a lot of people don't like it, and it's not the greatest, but it is what it is. View, I want to zoom in a little bit so we can actually read this. Boom. All right, so what you're seeing is these are your macros that you've created. Yay. So macro 1, they call it macro index 0, but that is everything from here to here. And then macro 2 is the same, there to there, macro 3, and so on. But what we have is, this is the pause that we added. So if we copy that, and then we look and see, where do we want that pause? We want that pause probably before we go on air. That will allow everything to run, and then once we run on air, everything's running nicely and smoothly. So I'm just going to insert that here. And there it is. Okay, so if I were to now save that, boom. Now I go to my ATEM software, file, restore, and I go to the macro test, save, got my macro selected, that's what I want. All right, so now if I go to, and I run 2, run 3, all right, so now I animate in. That's what I wanted it to do. So now that we've got all those working the way that we want, we can go back to our text editor and we can try putting these all together. Now we might need to start adding more pauses again. Who knows? But one cool thing is we've already got the pause built in. So if for some reason we want to add another pause, but we don't want to do 30 frames, yeah, change it here. 15 frames. Whatever you want to do. It's really simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take macro 2 and I'm going to go super conservative and copy this. You can cut it, whatever. But I'm going to keep everything else intact. Or you know what? Let's go super conservative. Just in case. In case we really mess this up. Let's go and we can create a whole new macro. So instead of what I was just doing, we should be able to go, let's copy this, go under macro here, which you can't see what I'm doing. So let's, boom. All right. Go back, text edit. Okay, so what I did is under macro here, I am going to basically copy and paste this piece here, that whole line. But I'm going to change that to index 4. I'm going to change my name to master. One thing I probably should have done was also save that. So let's copy that as well. All right, so now we're going to start copy and pasting all of these macros and put them into one. And if we copy, boom. That's not a full tab. All right, so we've got that. Now let's do this one. And this one. Okay, so that should be one mega macro that does everything that we want. We might have some timing issues, but it's a place to start. So let's go File and Save. Go back to the ATEM. We'll want to go to File, Restore. Let's go to our macro test. And when we pull this up, we should now have a master macro that does everything. So what I'm going to do is, you won't be able to see everything here, I guess. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to change my fill source to HyperDeck. And then I'm going to change my program to Cam1. So now you're seeing me, you're not seeing what I'm doing, but I'm gonna hit master and play. And that just did everything that we wanted it to do. It actually looked pretty smooth. I'm actually pretty impressed. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Never actually done this before. This was all theory, but okay. If I hit play on master 1, let me watch it better. I think it does exactly what I wanted it to do. So that's a way that you can use macros, and you can edit the macros in the XML file, and then, you know, create a longer macro instead of, create a longer macro out of a bunch of small ones instead of trying to record one giant macro all in one try, one pass. It's just not something I've been successful with, so this has helped me. So yeah, there we go. That's what I have. Thank you.